Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with the Road to Glory podcast. I'm Juliet.
And I'm Cecilia. And today's episode is all about F1 Academy, where we'll basically first off be talking about what the series is all about and where they'll be racing, stuff like that. And then we'll move on to our season predictions for who will win the championship this season.
Yes, currently F1 Academy is actually having a test in Shanghai, but there is absolutely no information about it on any of their websites or anything, and we've only found out through like drivers' Instagram stories and them like telling us. So, if we get any more information on that, we will definitely be making a video. But for the moment, we're just going to give you a little bit of a backstory on F1 Academy if you're totally new to it or if you watched last year, because there's some things that have changed since last year and what we think is going to happen, because I think it's going to be a very exciting season and that everybody should tune in.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it as well. And it is kind of strange that we don't know a whole lot about that test because obviously we just covered F2 and F3 preseason testing, and that was like live timing for it and a lot of stuff being published about it. But for some reason, that's not the same thing for F1 Academy, it seems.
I know F1 Academy tests a little bit more than F2 and F3 do. Like, they have quite a lot of tests at the circuit before the
Yeah.
track just to get their wow. But still, they should give us more information and let us know what is going on. It's very, like, they're keeping us
Yeah,
in the dark, and I'm stressed. Give me
yeah, they
information.
really are. We need information. So basically, what we're also saying is our predictions are probably going to be terrible because we have nothing to go off.
And
But
there's still a
that'll be
driver
fine.
to be announced. We still have a
Yeah,
driver that we don't know who's in that Rodin seat. So
exactly.
it could be
Yeah.
them who is winning, and we just
Mhm.
don't know who they are.
Yeah. The unknown Rodin driver will win the championship. That's the prediction right now. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
Because it's the same with F2. I jokingly said that the unknown ART driver in F2 was gonna win, and like as a second prediction, and
yeah,
it turned out to be Victor Martin. So like
and
that's a pretty good shout, honestly.
that's a very good chat. So
Yeah.
you knew something we didn't.
Apparently I did. So we'll wait and see
Yeah,
what happens. But obviously, this episode is about F1 Academy. So if we should like talk about some basic facts about the series, obviously there are some changes from last year, which like one of the biggest changes is that they have included a sixth team. So High Tech is joining the grid this season.
which is very exciting because the more seats there are, the better chance there is for somebody to get an opportunity to really kickstart their single seater journey, especially because I was reading up on a lot of the drivers that have been announced now that are in this season, and a lot of them this is like their first single seater opportunity,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. So it's really good that they have another team.
It really is. So, what it means that High Tech joined the grid is there will be two more drivers than there was last season because basically they have two full-time drivers and then the third seat is reserved for the wild card that will be at each race, which we also saw last year. So, the idea behind that is having a driver that ideally comes from the country that they will be racing at will have the wild card entry and be allowed to like race for that one weekend.
What I think is very interesting is obviously they did this last year, right? And now this year,
Mhm.
a lot of the drivers
Yeah.
were wildcard entries. So it's very interesting to see that teams saw potential in them, and now they have a
Mm.
whole year's drive in F1 Academy. So I think it's very
Mm.
important to have that wild card because it's this person's they get two races, they get race one and race two to show what they're made of and just put their message out there that I'm here, I'm racing, and I'm competitive.
Exactly, because it also shows that the system actually works. Like it's not just because they think it's a funny idea to have a
Yeah,
wildcard. Like the two drivers, the wildcard drivers from last season that did perform the best do actually, as you say, have seats, full-time seats this season. So it'll be interesting to
exactly.
see if any of this season's wildcard drivers will maybe be seeing them full-time next season as well.
Exactly. Who knows?
Yeah, and more facts about the series. Basically, talking about changes from last season to this season, they have finally changed the how they do qualifying basically because that was so annoying last season, and I know you think the same.
I'm really happy. I don't know why they did it that way. Because F2
Mm,
and F3 have the reverse grid, which they have now implemented
yeah,
into F1 Academy. So I think I think it just makes so much more sense because last year they had your fastest lap time was for race
mm,
one, and then your second fastest lap time is where you qualify in race two. And it just was
yeah,
very confusing because you're watching qualifying and you have no idea who's on
no,
pole or anything for race two because you never see anyone's second fastest lap time. You always see
no.
everyone's fastest lap time on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it made no sense. Like I remember like trying to explain to a friend that was like she was into F1 Academy, but she wasn't able to actually watch it a weekend. And then like trying to explain to her like who qualified where because like I don't even have the information when I'm watching it because I can only see the
Exactly.
quickest times. Yeah, so like thankfully they have changed that. So basically what they have changed it into is a more normal qualifying where it is only the fastest laps that count, and then that sets the race for race two, I think, because race
Yeah.
one is where it will be the reversed grid where they take the top eight and reverse them, obviously. So the person qualifying eighth will start from pole position, so we will get the chance to actually see if there are a couple of drivers that always like qualify really well. They won't start every single race from the front, which is really way more fun to see because then we'll actually also see them having to fight through the field, which we didn't get a whole lot of from last season if we think about obviously Doi and Pan or Abby pulling, because they were just racing at the front, and that's not the most entertaining thing. And it would be interesting to see like those kind of drivers actually having to like work hard to get through the field as well.
Exactly. I feel like one of my favorite things in the lower feeder series, because we don't have the reverse grid in Formula One, it's one of
Mm,
my favorite things because it's just, there's a
yeah,
lot of unexpected drivers that land up winning that wouldn't necessarily get the opportunity to, and just showing that they actually can have pace and just mixes stuff up. And
yeah,
I love it. So I'm really, really happy
yeah.
that it's F1 Academy this year.
I'm so happy for it as well because like one thing is obviously the entertainment value goes up for the viewer, but it another thing is that it's actually also really important for the drivers to like actually be racing against people and not just driving away from the front row every time. Like they do still need to practice the racecraft, which they are not doing the same way if they're just leading every time. So with the reverse grid, obviously there won't be given the same amount of points for a win because still that would be kind of unfair in a sense because you're basically not starting where you actually qualified. So it's basically the same thing as we see in F3 and F2 where the winner gets 10 points in a reverse grid race compared to like the actual race where they get 25 points, and then it's in the reverse grid race it is down to number 8 that gets points, and then again obviously in the actual race it will be down to number 10.
There's also 2 points for pole position for race two,
Yeah,
which is like the not the reverse grid race, the normal one. Because it's whoever starts on pole, there could be, disqualifications or whatever from qualifying. Like if you qualify
yeah,
pole and then afterwards you're disqualified, you don't get those two
sure.
points.
Yeah, that's why it's always like really like obviously important to note that it is the person that starts from
Yeah,
pole position in race 2, but
exactly.
usually that will be the person who qualifies and
Who
sets the
qualifies?
fastest time,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
can change.
And then there also there's 1 point for fastest lap in
Yeah,
race one if the driver is within the top eight, and in race two if the driver is in top 10. It's
yeah,
pretty much like the rest of the feeder series if you know the rest of the feeder series, and if you don't, that's normally
exactly.
how they do it.
Yeah, and any other important information, I guess, is F1 Academy doesn't race that often. So basically, they have 7 race weeks, but as most other feeder series, they have 2 races in each of these weeks. So basically, they have
Yeah.
14 races, which also obviously like puts a lot of pressure on the drivers because if you just have one bad weekend, like that can be enough to potentially ruin your chances in the championship.
Yeah, what is interesting about F1 Academy is they don't always, like every year, I mean, we're still quite new to F1 Academy overall, but
Mm,
every year they seem to have changed up where they're racing. Like
yeah.
last year they raced at different tracks to this year. This year they are going back to 3 tracks. They're going back to Jeddah, they're going back to Miami, and they're going back to Zandvoort. But they have 4 other tracks that they've never been to before. So they've got Shanghai, Montreal, Singapore, and Las Vegas. So it'll be very interesting to see because these drivers will be coming from racing in Europe mostly
Mm.
to going to these tracks and not knowing them at all. So I feel like it is quite an even playing field.
Yeah, it will be a new challenge for pretty much all the drivers. So yeah, there will be a couple of tracks that some of the more seasoned drivers have been to, but obviously another thing that's important to remember about F1 Academy that really sticks out in comparison to a lot of other feeder series where you can just like continue racing for what seems like forever. Not talking about
Yeah.
Richard Fisher on F2 at all.
Burn.
Yeah, exactly. In F1 Academy, you can only race for 2 seasons and then you're out. Like, so
And
obviously,
there's also the age limit. So you have to be older than 16, you have to be 16, or
mm,
under 25, which is very interesting. I do get that they're trying to keep it as like a more junior series.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like honestly, it makes a lot of sense. And we're also seeing this season that they are moving more towards younger drivers, with like a couple of the drivers only being 16 and like one of them like only just turning 16 like at the
Yeah.
beginning of this year basically. So definitely that's what they're trying to move towards because obviously when you are let's say 25, that is the age limit, that's not really like the end goal F1 Academy for female drivers. Like the idea behind F1 Academy is obviously they have to move on to up the ladder of the feeder series. So if you're already
Yeah.
25, not saying that it's too late, but like in
No.
normal terms, like if we're saying that it
Yeah.
was a male series, that would be pretty high up in their career. So like they are trying to like obviously get
Yeah.
drivers in as early as possible so they can like develop and then move up to other feeder series.
What I think is really good about having F1 Academy is now that it's been around, it's going to be their 3rd year now, is that more drivers and young females are being inspired to start to race
Yeah.
because they see this. So it's motivating people, and then through that, they'll get more younger people into the series. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
because it's there, they're gonna get people. So I think it's very important to have F1 Academy, and I'm really happy that it's around as a female myself.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring to see the drivers that are there, and I'm really excited to see where they go on from F1 Academy, and hopefully in the future, who knows when, but we will have a female driver in F1. That is
Yeah.
what I really just really wish for.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said about F1 Academy because it really is important to have something like this. I know that some people are putting a lot of hate on it, maybe not pointing out specific drivers, but there have been like one female driver that called it pink washing and not who could that be? But anyway.
Yeah, we won't name names. We won't name names. But if you're in the motorsport community, you know.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Like but we won't give her enough screen all this time
No,
there.
she
So
doesn't deserve. So yeah,
yeah,
we love it.
yeah. So basically, what it's doing, it's doing great things. Like obviously there is the F1 Academy and like the whole thing that Susie Wolf, who is like is she the CEO or what is her like official title?
Yeah, I think she could be. She started F1 Academy,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
she's like principal. I don't know. She's high up.
Something, but yeah, but essentially Susie Wolf, as she said, like is basically you have to see it to believe it in a sense. It's not exactly what she said, but like you get the point.
But yeah,
And I really think that is true. A lot of young girls see female drivers in F1 Academy and think like, I can do that, or like see the mechanics working on the cars or the race engineers and stuff like that. It is really important. And obviously the whole thing about not having a female driver in F1, like a lot of people are still putting it down to, oh, they can't do it because of physical reasons. But like honestly, that argument still lives only because it's the only argument people can come up with, which is, by the way, not
exactly.
true.
No, but if you, as a female, if you never see, if there's no place for you, if you don't think
Mm,
there's a place for you, then you're not going to pursue it. But now that there's F1 Academy and there's more of a path towards it, it's making it a lot more accessible for women.
yeah, exactly. And basically, obviously, with there not being a driver in F1, a female driver in F1 yet, you can put it down to a lot of reasons, but
Yeah,
one of them is also just what F1 Academy is trying to change with all their like talent discovery programs they have in karting and stuff like that, where it is like
exactly.
these are not like exact numbers, but like if 100 boys start go-karting and like want to pursue that, maybe only one girl starts go-karting, and that's like obviously there's going to be a way bigger talent pool of male drivers than females, so you
Yeah,
have to get more female drivers or like
at
females into
grassroots.
driving. Yeah, so
Exactly. You have
you
to
can
get
like
more
find
females
that
into
one
karting.
person, yeah, that has
Mm,
the right talent.
completely. And I feel like if I was younger and I was exposed to karting and to seeing that there were women in it and there was a path and there was a way forward. You never know. So there needs to
Mhm.
be these options for girls to find out what karting is like, and that there is a place for them to continue pursuing it and to want to be in this motorsport world.
Yeah. So it is a really great initiative that we have F1 Academy. And also another thing about F1 Academy is obviously like it isn't made to be a final step for anyone. That's also why they can only be there for 2 years or can't be there when they are older than 25. And that is also something like the academy is like trying to help the drivers that win the championship, obviously we're like giving them like paying for full season. For example, for
Yes.
Abby Pulling, she got like a full season in GB3 for this year, and
Yeah.
the same with the winner in the first season. She won like a full season in Formula Regional, the European Championship. So
Yeah, I think if you win, you get a fully funded seat, and then
yeah,
obviously it depends on where you and your team and where you have an opportunity to go, and then they pay for that seat, which is
mm,
a really nice step forward. So it's not like you just win and then what do you do next? There's a bit more
yeah,
of a path laid out for you, which is really good. And then hopefully we can
mm,
see more female drivers in F3 and F2, and then just
yeah,
in the natural progression. And I definitely think upgrading the cars in F1 Academy slowly over time is going to be an important
yeah,
step to do to bring them up to a bit more. They're a high standard, they are, but to bring them to like a level right. Personally, this is what I think. To bring them to a level right
yeah.
under F3, so that it's complete natural progression. So they do F1 Academy, they do F3, they do F2, they do F1.
Yeah, exactly. Because as it stands right now, going from F1 Academy to like say F3, like that's too big of a jump as it
Yeah,
is right now. Like they have to like
yeah.
go to another feeder series
Series.
below Formula 3. But like
Yeah,
one day,
majority.
like
Yeah, majority it's like Formula Regional, or
mm,
it's GB3. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what the future of F1 Academy holds and how
yeah,
they develop.
it really is. And like as you mentioned, the whole thing about them getting a seat funded for the next season is also like really important because that is what is like stopping a lot of female drivers to progressing to a point where they could potentially get to F1 one day because a lot of females are like facing funding issues.
Mm,
That's obviously some male drivers do as well, but to a higher degree because there's just more people that like don't believe in investing in a female who won't get to F1 anyway. So that's
exactly.
just
So
breaking
there's
down those barriers.
Yeah, there are more barriers for females
Mm,
in motorsport. It's just the fact. So it
yeah,
is very good that there is more of a path forward for them.
yeah. And yeah, moving towards like a future where there won't be as many barriers.
I feel like we're very passionate about this, and I hope that we like
Yeah,
share some of our passion with you as well.
exactly. Yeah, hopefully. And honestly, if you haven't watched F1 Academy in the other seasons, like please do because it actually really is a good series and it is
Oh,
important to like support these drivers as well.
completely. It and we need the viewership for F1 Academy so that it can continue. Because if there is no
Yeah,
viewership to it, there then they're not going to have the funding from the streaming and stuff, so they won't
no,
continue it.
exactly.
So everybody needs to watch F1 Academy. The races are 30 minutes long.
Yeah,
It's
it
not.
isn't a big commitment.
No, it's not. And it's gonna be on an F1 weekend, so you'll already be watching. So just turn the TV on
Mm,
a little bit earlier, and you get to see really, really
yeah,
talented women drive amazing
yeah.
cars. So why would you not want?
I'm literally so upset or like sad that F1
Mm,
Academy won't be driving in Silverstone when we're gonna be there because I would love to see them like in real life. But obviously with F2 and F3 already being there, it would be like
yeah,
too much.
the schedule is way too packed. They can't fit it in, which is very
Mm,
unfortunate because we are going to be there and we really want to
mm,
see F1 Academy. We're so passionate about
exactly.
it. So it'd be
Mm,
incredible to see them race in real life.
yeah,
But, unfortunately, they won't be there. So maybe next year we'll have to figure something out and go somewhere where there's F1 Academy.
true. Because like it obviously changes every season. Like the only European race that they are regularly at is Sandford. So like
Yeah.
that's an option. But yeah, I guess time will
Yeah,
tell when we will be able to
exactly.
see an F1 Academy race in person. And like if you are at a race where F1 Academy is, consider yourself lucky because I wish I were you.
Me too. F1 Academy, if you ever want to invite us, really,
Yeah.
we're happy to come. We
Yeah.
will talk passionately about you for ages.
Mm.
We love you.
Please
Please. Please.
invite us. We love you. Like
We
also
love you.
that that's perfect to what I was gonna talk about next is that basically the drivers in the series are obviously backed, like 10 of the drivers are backed by F1 teams, so like Red Bull or Haas, stuff like that. But there are also drivers that are backed by big brands, basically like Tommy Hilfiger and Charlotte Tilbury. So like if you're
Yeah.
Tommy Hilfiger, please hook
Yeah,
us up.
exactly. Hey, we're happy to do
Yeah,
anything for you. So we're available.
honestly, the content will be great and we
Exactly.
seriously. Yeah,
We're
and
two
that
women. This is perfect.
yeah, like one of the drivers I'm actually really excited to see how they get on in the series
Mm,
is Tommy Hilfiger's backed or supported driver, which is a Danish driver. That's her name is Alba Hurup Larsen. So, and she's only 16. Like I believe she's the youngest driver in the field. So it'll be really interesting to see how she performs against the other really, really talented female drivers that also some of them have more experience than her. So it'll be interesting
exactly.
to see.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how a lot of the rookies do in F1 Academy this year and how the younger drivers do against, because it is quite, from 16 to 25 is a very big age difference. So it
It
is
really
very
is.
exciting. Um, and now I think we
Mm.
should do our predictions. Don't you
It
think?
is time. It is time for our
Yeah.
prediction. I
I
agree.
kind of want you to go first. I don't know why.
I don't know. Okay, I can go first. So, first up, we obviously need to predict a driver's champion.
Yeah.
So, my pick, and I was conflicted on this, which is like no
Mm-hmm.
surprise because I cannot make a decision ever. Uh, but the person I ended up choosing, I'm
Yeah.
afraid I'm not gonna be able to pronounce her name.
Okay.
But the the driver I have chosen to win the championship, the person I
Yeah.
predicted will win the championship, is Alicia Palmowski.
Oh wow,
Alicia Palmowski.
you went left field.
Yeah, I know. I just feel
Wow.
like
Yeah.
obviously she was a wild card last season, so we are already
Mhm.
like seeing her perform really well. I was pretty impressed with her just coming in, doing really well in qualifying. And besides that, I was like looking up the different drivers. And she had her first year in single seaters last year in 2024,
Mhm.
and she did GB4, so like British Formula 4, and
Yeah.
she literally became vice champion in her like first season there.
Wow. That's very
Yeah,
impressive.
it really is. So I feel like I have a feeling that she will be one to watch, and hopefully,
Yeah.
for my prediction, she will win the championship.
Who were you going between? Who was your other choice?
Well, initially, I was thinking, which was very much like a safe bet, with Doyan Pan, with obviously her being vice champion of the F1 Academy last year, and like
Yeah.
she and Abby Pulling obviously were really like for a lot of the races pretty close. So I could still see her winning the championship, but it was like Alicia or Doyan, and like I was going back and forth between two drivers to like my second position, which was
Yeah.
basically Nina Gademan, which is Doyan's teammate or like one of the teammates for this season. I feel like she
Yeah.
could be a good shout as well. So it was like those drivers that I was going between.
Going.
Also because
Okay.
obviously Nina just performed really well this month in Formula Winter Series, where she like almost every race was the highest ranked female driver, which was like
Yeah.
crazy seeing the stats from that.
Yeah, exactly. Nina was also, I was also thinking about her, choosing her.
Mm,
She was like my second person that I was looking at. And I went very basic here and I went Dorian to win. That was my prediction. I just feel like because of the practice and she was in it last year and she was fighting a lot of the time
yeah.
at the front. Um so that was my prediction, but then I'm also thinking watch out for Chloe Chambers. I feel like
Yes.
she's been doing really well. She also did the Formula Winter Series, um,
Yeah.
and she's backed by Red Bull Ford this year. So I'm very
Mm,
excited to see what Chloe can do, and I will be cheering for her. I mean, I'm cheering for everyone, but I will be cheering for
yeah.
her at every single race over
Y-
YouTube when I watch it, because you can watch F1
Yeah.
Academy for free on YouTube. So
Yeah. If you didn't already have enough reasons to watch F1 Academy, you can literally watch it for free. Like at least I hope so because you could last season. So
yeah, you could
fingers crossed
last
on
year.
that.
I would be concerned if they changed it because I feel like that's a really big draw
Yeah.
factor that you can watch for free with no streaming
Mm,
service.
I assume you can watch it. Yeah, I'm sure you can. But yeah, Chloe Chambers. I literally have a note on my phone for like this episode that literally
Yeah.
just says, "We love Chloe Chambers in this household."
We do.
Yeah,
We
so
love Chloe so
yeah.
much.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be supporting her as well. So it'll be interesting. So basically what we're saying is that we think apparently that Prema and Campers will be doing well because like it's drivers from like both of these teams we have mentioned so far.
Yes. Well, who did you have down for the
Yeah.
like drivers, the team champions, the world constructors? That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, obviously with it being a feeder series, it's just teams champions because they're technically not constructors as in
Oh
F1
yeah,
because it's the
yeah,
same car. But
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so
But like,
basically
yeah,
we get the point.
yeah,
So for the teams, as I just said, we just mentioned a couple of teams, so it would be interesting if we both go for one of these teams because the team I am predicting will win the
yeah.
team's championship is very boring and very basic because they won the first and only two seasons of F1 Academy, which is of course Prema. So that's and you're probably going for them as well.
Yeah, I went for
Yeah.
Premier as well, but I have my
Mm,
reasons. And also,
Mm.
because of their drivers, I just thought they have Dorian and they have Tina. So they have two drivers who are very experienced, who have been fighting up in the front of the field during their past seasons, and I'm hoping gonna do well this year. And then they also have Nina Gaidman, who is showing, as
Mm.
you mentioned earlier, a lot of promise. So those were my reasons for thinking Prema. I think we were
Yeah,
sharing the brain cell there again when we were deciding
we
that.
were because I have the exact same like reasoning. I was feeling like probably, probably Diane and Nina will like really be carrying. Not, I don't want to say like Tina is not gonna do a lot,
Oh,
but she did have a difficult season last
she did.
year. So what I'm trying to say to make it sound more positive is that if Tina has figured out whatever her issue was last year, because if we do compare like Prema last year, it was
Statistics.
Diane Pan, yeah, and Maya Vuk and
Yes.
Tina Hausman. And obviously, Dorian and Maya were in really good positions, winning races, and we didn't really see that from Tina. So I am interested in seeing what Tina can do this year. If she can, like, yeah, compete for wins basically this season, which I think she does have the potential for. But like, in my
Completely.
mind, I am envisioning Dorian and Nina really being strong competitors for
I
like the
agree.
championship. So like they will be bringing in a lot of points for Prema, and obviously Tina will as well, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. I'm sure she'll be able to build on what she's learned last year. So it'll be very
Yeah, and as
interesting
well.
to see if Prema can win for a third time. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't.
we don't know. Yeah,
No,
and
we don't.
obviously mentioning Maya work though, it is interesting that she has changed teams to MP, which will be interesting because like they were struggling last season, and it wasn't really because they had bad drivers. Like it wasn't like Hamda El Kubaisi and her
Yeah.
sister
Yes, and
driving for
Amda.
MP that last
Yeah.
season. Yeah, so it is an interesting move for Maya because she will like be teaming up with like the youngest rookies that are like Elba and the new is she driving for Tech Heuer, like the new
Oh,
driver
tag.
that's also like 16.
Yes. I want to say it's. It looks like it's Ava. It's AIVA.
Mm.
Iva Anagonas Diaz. I don't know. But she's Australian, so I'm like, where is this name coming from?
Yeah, I'm sure we will learn to pronounce or like get closer to a more correct pronunciation once the season
Yeah.
starts, and we can actually like rely on the commentators
And
saying
like
people's names.
interviews and stuff where I can actually hear from them
Mm.
because a lot of these drivers have
Yeah.
come from lower feeder series and stuff or just straight from karting or other stuff. I
Mm.
haven't really heard a lot about them and how to pronounce their
No.
names. So I'm coming in blind here and I'm very sorry and I'm sure I love you.
Yeah, I'm sure you're a lovely person and a great driver, and we
Yeah.
will support you this season, I'm sure.
We will.
But yeah,
Yeah.
basically, to sum up, our predictions is like my predictions are that Alicia, oh God, just saying her name again, I'm tripping over it. Alicia Pawlowski
Yeah.
is gonna win the drivers' championship, and Prema will win the team's championship. But like, it is a feeder series, so everything can happen,
Yeah.
and I can be completely wrong.
And I can be completely wrong with Dorian. And who knows? And
Yeah,
with
but
Prema,
Dorian is a pretty safe bet, I would say. Like,
yeah,
I feel like
I
I
went.
low-key feel like Dorian will win. But
Yeah, I went really safe. I mean, like, it's not that I win anything if she wins, but I just went the safe route.
true, maybe Chloe Chambers will win, and we will all be
Yeah,
happy as well.
please.
Like, and yeah, the
Yeah,
the first round is in China, which is the second round of the Formula One season. So like, you won't have to wait too long to see the
no,
drivers out on track.
exactly. It's very exciting. They'll be out on track soon. You should follow
Mm.
us along on everything to hear more about F1 Academy, about the rest of the feeder series. Please let us know what you want us to talk about next. Do you want us to do something on GB3? Because I feel like that's a feeder series that's quite lower down that not many people know about. So we are really happy to introduce any feeder series that you like. Let us know.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, our next video will be out when in a week or so after this
We
one.
will be gearing up for the first race week next week, basically, with F2 and F3 returning. So I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll be getting out some content about that. So like obviously make sure to follow us wherever any social media, we will be there, and it will be linked somewhere so
Yes,
you can find us.
exactly. And we've really enjoyed talking about F1 Academy. You
Yeah,
can tell we're very passionate about it. And we hope
yeah.
you enjoyed as well listening along with us. Let us know who you think's going to win. Do you have any wild predictions? And yeah, please come and join us. Come and follow along for the next one. And thank you so much for being here.
Hopefully we'll see you in our next episode soon.
Bye.
Bye.